Marina Tan signed the divorce papers in silence, while her ex-husband laughed in her face at the family justice courts. "You didn't even hire a lawyer. This isn't going to end well for you," he said loudly for everyone to hear. She was left with almost nothing, an old HDB flat, and not a single cent of their savings. Ricardo Lim walked out celebrating, convinced he had won. What he didn't know was that 3 days before that signing, Marina had received a call, and that call would change everything. Marina woke up to the sound of the door slamming. Ricardo had left without a word again. She looked at the clock. 6 a.m. He probably went for his run at East Coast Park before work, as he did every week. Marina got up slowly, feeling the weight of 6 years of marriage on her shoulders. The flat was too silent, that heavy silence she knew so well. She went to the kitchen and started making coffee. While waiting for the kettle to boil, she looked at the fridge, full of reminders and bills pinned with magnets. All were in Ricardo's handwriting. Pay electricity, joint account, groceries, use the joint card, don't forget to transfer your salary. Marina worked part-time as a secretary at a physiotherapy clinic. She earned little, but it was enough to feel useful. The problem was that every month on payday, Ricardo would wait for her to come home with his phone in hand. "Transferred yet?" he'd ask without even looking at her. "Not yet." Marina would sometimes reply just to see his reaction. "Marina, we agreed. I handle the finances. You deposit your salary. It's more organized this way. You don't understand. Investments, planning, leave it to me." And she would transfer it religiously every month. That morning, Marina drank her coffee alone, looking out the kitchen window. The neighbor in the opposite block was hanging laundry on the clothesline. A simple life, but one that seemed freer than hers. Her phone rang. It was her clinic boss. "Marina, can you cover the afternoon shift today?" Carla called in sick. "Yes, no problem." She hung up and already knew what would happen. Ricardo didn't like it when she changed her routine without warning. He said it messed up his planning. Marina sent a message saying she would be working late. The reply came in seconds. "Again? You need to learn to say no. They exploit you, and you don't even realize it." Marina read it and didn't reply. She put her phone away and went to shower. When she arrived at the clinic, the morning passed quickly. She liked her job, organizing files, attending to patients, talking to people. There, she felt seen, useful. At lunchtime, she ate a quick sandwich in the pantry and returned to the reception desk. It was then that the door opened, and Marina saw a scene she hadn't expected. Ricardo walked into the clinic in a suit, with that air of an important lawyer he always carried. Marina felt her heart quicken. "Hi, what are you doing here?" she asked, trying to smile. "I came to pick you up. We need to talk now, Marina." "Ricardo, I'm working until 6. It's important." Marina looked around. The waiting room had 3 patients. The physiotherapist was attending to someone. She couldn't just leave. "I can't now. We can talk at home later." Ricardo took a deep breath, the way he did when he was losing patience. "Marina, it's not a request, it's serious. Let's go." She felt her blood run cold. She knew that tone of voice well. It was the tone he used when he wouldn't take no for an answer. Marina looked at the physiotherapist's office door, thinking of asking for help. But what would she say? "My husband wants me to leave work, and I don't know how to say no." "Give me 5 minutes," she said softly. Marina went into the office, apologized to her boss, and invented a family emergency. The woman let her go, worried. Marina grabbed her bag, feeling her legs weak, and left with Ricardo. On the way to the car, he said nothing, just walked ahead with his hands in his pockets. Marina got into the passenger seat and waited. Ricardo started the car but didn't move. "I want a divorce," he said, looking straight ahead. Marina felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. "What? Divorce? I can't take it anymore, Marina. We don't work. You don't grow. You don't evolve. I pull you up, and you stay the same. I deserve someone on my level." She remained silent, processing it. 6 years. 6 years of marriage, of sharing a life, of accepting everything in silence. And now he was simply announcing the end, there in the clinic parking lot where she worked. "Is there someone else?" Marina asked, her voice trembling. Ricardo took a while to respond. When he spoke, he didn't look at her. "There's Fernanda Chua from the office." Marina knew Fernanda, had been to year-end law firm parties and chatted with her. A beautiful woman, well-dressed, self-assured. Everything Ricardo always said Marina wasn't. "How long has this been going on? Does it matter?" "Marina, I've already made my decision. There's no point in arguing. I came to tell you because I respect you. I've already prepared the divorce papers. It's all very simple. You get the flat that was your mother's. I get the house, the car, the savings. It's fair. The flat is in your name anyway, so no problem. Marina felt a surge of anger, but also a strange relief, as if a prison was opening. And if I don't agree? Ricardo finally looked at her, with that cold stare she had seen so many times. Marina, don't be childish. You can't afford a lawyer. I've already arranged everything. It's better for everyone. We sign. Each goes their separate way without drama. He took an envelope from the folder in the back seat and handed it to her. Read it carefully. You have a week to decide, but I'll give you some advice. Accept it, because if you try to fight, I know the system. I know how it works, and you might end up with even less. Marina took the envelope, her hands trembling. Ricardo started the car. I'll take you back to the clinic. The ride was silent. When Marina got out of the car, Ricardo didn't even wait for her to close the door properly. He sped off, leaving her there alone, holding an envelope that would change her life. Marina entered the clinic, apologized again, and said she needed to leave. She grabbed her things and took a bus home, holding the envelope against her chest. When she arrived at the empty flat, the flat that was her mother's, the only place Ricardo couldn't take, she sat on the sofa and opened the papers. They were 20 pages of complicated legal terms, but the summary was simple. She would be left with nothing, no savings, no furniture from the house, just that old 2-bedroom flat that needed renovations. Marina read everything 3 times. With each line, she felt the humiliation growing. 6 years of her life, summarized in 20 cold pages of headed paper. She picked up her phone to call someone, but stopped. Who would she call? Her mother had passed away 2 years ago. She had no siblings. Her friends had drifted away during the marriage. Ricardo always said they were a bad influence. Marina was alone. She lay on the sofa, still holding the papers, and closed her eyes. Tears streamed down her face, silently. She cried until she fell asleep. When she woke up, it was already night. Her phone had 3 messages from Ricardo. Thought about the proposal? Don't complicate things, Marina. Reply. She didn't reply, threw the phone on the sofa, and went to the kitchen to make some tea. While the water was heating, Marina looked around the flat. It was small, old, but it was hers. It had been her mother's. There were good memories there. Perhaps it was time to accept. Sign the papers, start over, move on alone. That's when the landline rang. The one almost no one used anymore. Marina answered. Hello, good morning. I'd like to speak with Miss Marina Tan. That's me. My name is Dr. Heitor Singh. I'm a lawyer. I'm calling about Miss Helena Tan. You are her niece, correct? Marina felt her heart race. Aunt Helena. She hadn't heard from her aunt in months. They exchanged letters occasionally, but nothing very close. Yes, I'm her niece. Has something happened? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Miss Marina, I regret to inform you that Miss Helena passed away 2 weeks ago, and you have been named as the sole heir in her will. Marina remained silent, gripping the phone tightly. Aunt Helena had died. She felt a pang of guilt. She should have visited more, called more. But her aunt had always been a private person, preferring solitude and handwritten letters. I didn't know she had passed away, Marina said, her voice weak. I understand. It was very sudden, a heart problem. She passed away in her sleep without suffering, the lawyer explained gently. Mess. Marina, I need to schedule a meeting with you. There are some documents to sign and important information regarding the probate. Can you come to the office tomorrow morning? Marina thought quickly. She had missed work today. She needed to go tomorrow. She couldn't miss again. Tomorrow morning I work. Can it be at lunchtime? Noon? Perfectly. I'll text you the address. Until tomorrow, Miss Marina. She hung up and stood in the middle of the room, processing everything. Aunt Helena dead, an inheritance. But what did her aunt have? Marina remembered the old house where her aunt lived. An old terraced house in a secluded neighborhood. Perhaps some furniture, some savings, nothing that would change her life. Her phone vibrated. It was Ricardo again. I need an answer by Friday. Don't waste my time. Marina took a deep breath and typed, All right, I'll sign. The reply came in seconds. Great. I'll book the family justice courts for Friday at 2 p.m. Don't be late. She threw the phone on the sofa and returned to the bedroom. She lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything. In less than 12 hours, her life had been turned upside down. Divorce, betrayal, aunt's death, inheritance. Marina fell asleep exhausted, too tired to even change her clothes. The next morning, she woke up early, showered, and went to work. She arrived before everyone, tidied the reception area, organized the files. She needed to maintain routine, keep her mind occupied. Her boss arrived around 9 a.m. and called Marina into her office to talk. "Is everything all right? You left in a hurry yesterday." "Sorry, it was a family problem, but it's resolved." The woman looked at her with a look that suggested she didn't quite believe it, but she didn't insist. "All right, if anything, you can talk to me, okay?" Marina thanked her and returned to reception. The day passed slowly. Each time she looked at the clock, the hands seemed to be frozen. Finally, noon arrived. "I'm going for lunch. I'll be back in an hour," she announced, and left. The lawyer's office was in the central business district, in an old but well-maintained commercial building. Marina took the lift up to the 4th floor and found a glass door with the name Dr. Haitor Singh, Advocacy. She entered. The reception was small and welcoming. A friendly secretary greeted her and asked her to wait. A few minutes later, a man in his 60s set appeared. Gray hair, spectacles, a gentle smile. "Miss Marina, please come in." His office was full of books and files. Marina sat in the chair opposite the desk and waited. "Doctor." Haitor opened a thick folder and took out some documents. "First, my condolences on the loss of your aunt. She was an admirable woman." "Thank you. Well, I'll be direct because I know you have little time. Your Aunt Helena Tan left a very clear will. She had no children, no other close relatives. You are the sole heir to all her assets." Marina nodded, expecting him to talk about an old house and perhaps some savings. The assets include a terraced house in Bukit Timah, 13 commercial properties leased in the city center, shares in 2 family businesses, and a textile factory that has belonged to the family for 3 generations. Marina blinked, confused. "Sorry, I don't understand. What commercial properties?" Dr. Haitor smiled as if expecting this reaction. "Your aunt was a very discreet woman. She inherited these assets from her father, your grandfather, and always managed everything herself, in silence. She never flaunted her wealth. She lived simply, but she had considerable assets." He passed a sheet to Marina. It was a summary of the probate. She read the numbers and felt her head spin. The 3 commercial properties were large shops in prime locations, leased to retail chains. The textile factory had contracts with well-known clothing brands. The shares were worth hundreds of thousands. This is correct?" Marina asked, her voice trembling. "It is. And there's more. Your aunt left a letter for you. She asked me to deliver it personally." The lawyer took a yellowed envelope from the folder and handed it to Marina. She opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter in Aunt Helena's delicate script. "Dear Marina, if you are reading this, it is because I have already departed. Forgive me for not having been more present in your life. I have always been a solitary person, but know that I watched you from afar. Your letters brought me joy. I know you married a man who does not value you. I know you live a small life, smaller than you deserve. Therefore, I am leaving everything to you. It is not just money, Marina. It is freedom. Use these assets to be happy, to make the choices you never could make. And remember, you are stronger than you imagine. With affection, Aunt Helena." Marina read the letter 3 times, feeling tears stream down. Her aunt knew. She always knew. "How much? How much is it all worth?" Marina asked, wiping her face. Dr. Haitor leafed through some papers. A conservative estimate, around 8 million Singapore dollars. Marina felt she was going to faint. 8 millions. She, who used to ask permission to buy a pair of shoes. She, who transferred her entire salary every month. 8 million. When? When will this be officialized? The probate process takes about 10 working days. Everything is very well organized. There will be no complications. I'd say within 2 weeks, at most. You can start managing the assets. Marina did the maths in her head. 2 weeks. The divorce was scheduled for 3 days from now. If she signed on Friday, in 2 weeks, she would already be officially divorced, and then the inheritance would be solely hers, completely hers. She looked at the lawyer and asked carefully, "Dr. Singh, may I ask you a legal question?" "Of course. If I am in the process of divorce and receive an inheritance after the divorce is finalized, does my ex-husband have any right to a part of it?" Dr. Haitor took off his spectacles and cleaned them with a tissue, thoughtfully. "No, an inheritance is a private asset. It does not fall under matrimonial asset division. And if the inheritance is officialized after the divorce is finalized, your ex-husband has absolutely no right to anything." Marina felt something she hadn't felt in years. Power, control, silent justice. And am I obliged to inform him about the inheritance during the divorce process? The lawyer shook his head. No. While the probate is not closed, technically you are not yet the owner of anything. You have no legal obligation to declare an inheritance that has not yet been officialized. Marina stood up, put her aunt's letter in her bag, and shook Dr. Hator's hand. Thank you very much for the meeting, for everything. Any questions, I am at your disposal. I will keep you informed about the progress of the probate. Marina left the office feeling her legs tremble. She took the lift down, exited the building, and walked to a small park nearby. She sat on a bench and watched people pass by. 8 million. Freedom. A new life. And Ricardo wouldn't know a thing. She took out her phone and opened his messages. The last one said, 2 p.m., don't be late. Marina typed slowly, you can book it, I'll be there. She sent it. And for the first time in 6 years, she truly smiled. The next 2 days passed in slow motion. Marina went to work, came home, faked normality, but inside, she was planning every detail. On Thursday evening, Ricardo called, tomorrow's the big day. Are you prepared? I am. Good. Oh, and Marina, I know this is difficult for you, but it's for the best. You'll see, she almost laughed. Yes, Ricardo, I know it's for the best. See you tomorrow then. He hung up. Marina put her phone away and went to bed early. She needed to be rested for the next day. On Friday, she woke up, chose a simple outfit, jeans and a white blouse, and went to work. She told her boss she needed to leave early for a personal matter. The woman let her go without problems. At 1:45 p.m., Marina was at the entrance of the family justice courts. Her heart was beating fast, but she was calm, determined. Ricardo arrived punctually at 2 p.m. He wasn't alone. Beside him, smiling with superiority, was Fernanda Chua, the mistress, the other woman. Marina felt a pang of anger, but she took a deep breath and maintained her composure. Hi, she said emotionlessly. Hi, let's get this over with? Ricardo replied, already entering the courts. Fernanda walked past Marina and whispered, low enough for no one else to hear. No hard feelings. It's okay, you'll get over it. Marina looked at her and smiled, a calm, almost pitying smile. I know I will. And she walked into the family justice courts, ready to sign her freedom. The courts were bustling. Ricardo went straight to the counter. I have an appointment, consensual divorce. Minutes later, the three were in the registrar's office. Marina sat in silence, while Ricardo handed over the documents in a hurry. You read everything properly? He asked, without looking at her. I did. Fernanda was beside him, well-dressed, looking Marina up and down with superiority. You know, Marina? Fernanda said with a patronizing tone. This divorce will be good for you. You'll learn to fend for yourself. Marina smiled calmly. You're right. I really will learn a lot. The registrar began to read the agreement aloud. Marina would only keep the old flat. Ricardo would take everything. House, car, $82,000 in savings. Are you unaccompanied by a lawyer? The registrar observed. Are you sure you understand all the terms? Before Marina could answer, Ricardo interrupted. She understands. We've talked about everything. The registrar looked at Ricardo with a stern face. Sir, I need to hear from Miss Marina. I understand all the terms. I agree to everything. The registrar prepared the signatures. Ricardo signed quickly, pushed the papers to Marina. Your turn. Is it going to take long? Ricardo asked impatiently. Or, do you need me to read it to you again? Fernanda let out a small giggle. Marina took the pen and signed in silence. Once, twice, 3 times. Done. The divorce is finalized, said the registrar. Ricardo immediately stood up and left without looking back. Fernanda followed him, casting one last look of pity at Marina. Marina walked out of the courts and walked to the bus stop. It was done. She was officially divorced, and in less than 2 weeks, she would be officially a millionaire. That night, Marina ordered pizza for delivery, everything Ricardo never allowed because it was a waste of money. While eating, her phone rang. It was Dr. Haitor Singh. Miss Marina, the probate is progressing well. In about 8 days, everything will be finalized. Perfect. She hung up and checked WhatsApp. There was a message from Ricardo. It was easier than I imagined. Good luck with your new life. Marina deleted the conversation, blocked his number and Fernanda's. Then she picked up Aunt Helena's letter and read it again. Use these assets to be happy, to make the choices you never could make. Marina picked up a notebook and wrote down things to do. 1. Wait for the probate to finalize. 2. Visit Aunt's factory. 3. Learn to manage everything. 4. Live. She underlined the last word twice. The following days were strange. Marina continued working at the clinic, taking the bus, living her routine. No one knew anything. To the world, she was the same Marina, but inside, everything had changed. On the 8th day, Dr. Heitor called, "Miss Marina, the probate has been finalized. Everything is in your name. Can you come by Monday morning to sign the final documents?" Marina felt her heart pound. "Can I? 9 o'clock? Perfect." On Monday, Marina woke up early and went straight to the office. Dr. Heitor greeted her with a huge smile. "Congratulations, Miss Marina. Officially, you are now the owner of all the assets." He placed a pile of documents, keys, bank cards in front of her. It was so much that Marina felt dizzy. "Where would you like to start, miss?" "Marina?" Marina looked at those keys and had an idea. "I want to visit the factory, my aunt's factory." Dr. Heitor smiled. "When would you like to go?" Marina looked at her watch. Now. And for the first time in her life, Marina Tan made a decision without asking anyone's permission. The factory was in an industrial estate, far from the city center. Marina and Dr. Heitor went by car. He insisted on accompanying her on the first visit. Along the way, he explained the basics of the business. The factory produces fabrics for school uniforms and businesses. It has about 40 employees. Your aunt managed everything from a distance, but had a trusted manager who handles the day-to-day, MDM, Cleo Ali. She's been working there for 20 years. Marina listened in silence, trying to absorb everything. When they arrived, she saw a large, white-painted warehouse with a blue gate and the name Helena Textiles in large letters. Dr. Heitor honked, and a security guard opened the gate. They parked near the main entrance. Marina got out of the car and smelled paint and fabric in the air. It was a strong smell, but not unpleasant. A woman in her 50s appeared at the office door. She was short, with short brown-dyed hair, wore spectacles, and had a gentle smile. "Dr. Heitor, good to see you." MDM. "Closer. This is Miss Marina, the new owner." The woman looked at Marina, and her smile grew even wider. "Marina, my goodness, how you've grown. The last time I saw you, you must have been about 10 years old." Marina was surprised. "We know each other? Your aunt brought me to your birthday party once. You probably don't remember. You were very young." MDM. "Helena spoke a lot about you. I'm so sorry for your loss." "Thank you." MDM. Cleusa invited them in. The office was simple. Some desks, old computers, metal filing cabinets, a water cooler. Through the windows, Marina could see the factory floor. Huge machines weaving, employees working, rolls of fabric stacked. "Do you want to continue working here?" Marina asked. MDM. Cleusa looked relieved. "I do. If you'll have me, I need you." The woman shook Marina's hand. That night, Marina resigned from the clinic by phone. There was no turning back. Her old life was over. Days later, MDM. Cleusa called. "Marina, an important client is coming tomorrow. Big contract. Do you want to be here?" Marina looked at the new outfit she had bought. The first time in years she had chosen something without asking permission. "I do." "What time?" 10 a.m. The next morning, the client arrived. A man in a suit who looked at Marina with doubt. "You're quite young to own a factory." Marina shook his hand firmly. "I inherited it recently, but I'm learning fast." The meeting lasted an hour. MDM. Cleusa handled the technical part. In the end, the man asked, "And do you intend to keep the factory or will you sell it?" Everyone looked at her. "I intend to keep and expand it." The client smiled, satisfied. "Excellent. I like working with companies that have a long-term vision." When he left, MDM. Cleusa celebrated. "You did very well." "He liked you." Marina smiled, feeling a pride she had never felt before. "Do you think he'll accept?" "I think so. Our proposal is good, and you exuded confidence." Marina spent the rest of the day at the factory, learning more about the processes, getting to know the employees better. When she left, it was already night. On the taxi ride home, she looked out the window and saw the city illuminated, a city that once seemed so big, so impossible. Now she felt she could conquer anything. But Marina still didn't know that someone was about to discover the truth about her inheritance, and that person wouldn't be happy with the news. Ricardo Lim was in his office reviewing a labor case when he received a call from Marcus Tan, a fellow lawyer who handled probate cases. "Ricardo, everything all right? I have a curiosity here." "Go on, Marcus. You recently divorced Marina Tan, right?" Ricardo frowned. Yes. Why? Well, I'm seeing here in the system a probate that was finalized last week. A certain Helena Tan left a considerable inheritance to Marina Tan. Is that your ex? Ricardo felt his blood run cold. Inheritance? What inheritance, man? It's a fortune. Commercial properties, a factory, shares. It's valued at around 8 million. Easily. Ricardo's phone almost dropped from his hand. 8 million? Yeah, the probate was opened 2 weeks ago and closed last week. You didn't know? Ricardo hung up without responding. His hands trembled. He opened his computer and accessed the public records system. He typed Marina's name, and there it was, all the assets registered in her name. Registration date, 6 days after the divorce. He quickly did the maths. His aunt had died before the divorce. Marina knew. She knew and said nothing. Ricardo stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. Some colleagues looked alarmed. Is everything all right? An intern asked. Get out of my way, Ricardo shouted, grabbing his jacket and leaving the office. He got into his car and drove in a hurry to the building where the Singapore Land Authority's registry office was located. He needed to see the documents with his own eyes. In the queue at the registry office, Ricardo was red-faced, sweating, nervous. When it was his turn, he asked for certificates for all properties registered in Marina Tan's name. The clerk printed everything. It was 5 pages, 3 commercial properties in the city center, a terraced house, and the factory. Ricardo read every line, every date, every value. It was real. Marina was a millionaire, and he had lost everything. He went back to the car and punched the steering wheel hard, hurting his hand. The physical pain was nothing compared to the pain of realizing he had been deceived. Ricardo took out his phone and tried to call Marina, number out of service. She had changed her number. He tried to send a WhatsApp message. Blocked. He drove to the old HDB flat where Marina used to live. He rang the doorbell several times. No one answered. A neighbor came out into the corridor. If you're looking for the lady who lived here, she moved out a week ago. Where to? I don't know. I just know a moving truck came, and she left. Ricardo went down the stairs, wanting to scream. She had disappeared, changed her number, her address, erased all traces. He returned home, agitated, his head throbbing. Fernanda Chua was there, lying on the sofa watching TV. You're home early, what happened? She asked, without taking her eyes off the screen. Ricardo threw his briefcase on the floor. Marina inherited 8 million. Fernanda sat up instantly, turning off the TV. What? You heard me? 8 million. Her aunt died and left everything to her. She said nothing in the divorce. She knew and pretended she had nothing. Fernanda remained silent, processing. But is that legal? Yes. The inheritance was only officialized after the divorce. Technically, she wasn't obliged to declare it. But you can sue, can't you? Ask for the divorce to be annulled, something like that. Ricardo shook his head, defeated. No, I've checked. There's nothing I can do. She played by the book. Fernanda stood up and began pacing back and forth. 8 million. Ricardo, you lost 8 million. I know, he shouted. I know that. Fernanda stopped and looked at him with a different expression. Cold, calculating. And now what are you going to do? I don't know. I need to talk to her. I need to understand why she did this. Why she did. Fernanda laughed without humor. Obvious. Consequences. You humiliated her, treated her like trash for years. She just returned the favor. Ricardo looked at Fernanda, surprised by her tone. Are you defending her? No. I'm just being realistic. You lost, Ricardo, and I lost too. He frowned. What do you mean? Fernanda grabbed her bag and started throwing some things inside. I came into this relationship thinking you were a successful, rich man with a future. But now you've lost half your assets in the divorce. You're in debt, and on top of that, you were tricked by your ex-wife, whom you despised so much. Ricardo felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. Fernanda, wait. No, I've waited long enough. I warned you not to underestimate Marina. I told you to hire a real lawyer, but you didn't listen. You were so confident, so arrogant, and look what happened. Are you breaking up with me now? Fernanda grabbed more clothes and threw them into her bag. I am. I don't want to be with a loser, Ricardo. I have goals, and you are no longer part of them. She walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned and said, Oh, and about Marina? I always thought she was smarter than you. I just didn't know how much. The door slammed. Ricardo stood alone in the middle of the living room, in shock. In less than 2 hours, he had discovered that his ex-wife was a millionaire and had lost his girlfriend. He sat on the sofa and stared into space. How had everything collapsed so quickly? In the following days, Ricardo tried everything. He called the office of the lawyer who handled Aunt Helena's probate, but the man refused to provide any information about Marina. He went to the factory. When he reached the gate, a security guard stopped him. "Sir, do you have an appointment?" "No, but I need to speak with Miss Marina. She doesn't see anyone without an appointment." "Can you leave a message?" "Tell her it's Ricardo, her ex-husband." The security guard picked up the phone and called the office. He spoke softly. Then he hung up and looked at Ricardo. "She said she has nothing to discuss with you." Ricardo felt his anger rise. "You don't understand. I need to talk to her. It's urgent." "Sorry, sir." But her order was clear. Ricardo punched the bonnet of his own car, startling the security guard. Then he got into the vehicle and drove away, accelerating hard. He spent the next few days obsessed. He tried to find out where Marina was living, but found nothing. She had completely erased her tracks. In the office, Ricardo couldn't concentrate. He made mistakes in cases, forgot about hearings. His partners began to complain. "Ricardo, what's happening to you? You're completely out of it." He didn't respond, couldn't explain the humiliation he felt. A week later, Ricardo was having coffee at a cafe near his office when he saw something that made him choke. Marina was entering a luxury store across the street. She was different, elegantly dressed, her hair neatly styled, her posture confident. Beside her, an older woman conversed and laughed. Ricardo paid his bill in a hurry and ran across the street. He entered the store and saw Marina trying on an expensive watch. "Marina!" he called out loudly. She turned around. When she saw Ricardo, her face showed nothing. "Ricardo, what do you want?" He approached, but the woman with Marina, MDM, Cleusa Lee, placed herself between the two. "Who is this?" she asked. "My manager, MDM, Cleusa. This is Ricardo, my ex-husband, MDM." Cleusa looked Ricardo up and down with disdain. "Ah, that Ricardo." He ignored the woman and spoke directly to Marina. "We need to talk now." Marina put the watch back on the counter and looked him in the eyes. "About what?" "You know very well about what. You deceived me. You hid the inheritance." Marina smiled. A calm, almost amused smile. "I didn't hide anything. The inheritance wasn't mine yet when we divorced. I had no obligation to talk about something that wasn't even mine. This is dishonest. It's manipulation." "Dishonest?" Marina repeated, and for the first time, her voice turned cold. "You controlled my money for 6 years, made me believe I was incapable, humiliated me in front of strangers, replaced me with your mistress, and still had the audacity to leave me with nothing in the divorce. And I am the dishonest one?" Ricardo had no response. "Some people in the store were watching. I didn't do anything illegal," Marina continued. "I just used the same rules of the game you love so much, and I won." She picked up her bag and started to leave. Ricardo grabbed her arm. "Wait, Marina, please. We can resolve this. We can." Marina pulled her arm away forcefully. "We can't do anything. There is no us anymore. You chose this. Now live with the consequences." She left the store with MDM, Cleusa. Ricardo stood still, feeling everyone stare at him. The salesperson approached. "Sir, are you going to buy anything?" Or Ricardo left without responding, his fists clenched. That night, he spent hours alone at home trying to silence his own mind. He looked at his phone, thinking of calling Fernanda, but knew it was useless. She had made it clear she was out. Ricardo had lost everything: his wife, his assets, his mistress, his dignity, and worst of all, he had been defeated by Marina. The woman he had so despised, so diminished. She had won in silence. And now Ricardo was alone, broken, and humiliated. Exactly what he had planned for Marina. But fate had other plans. And Marina still had one last surprise in store. 3 months passed since the encounter at the store. Marina and Ricardo now lived in completely different worlds. Marina woke up at 7 a.m. in her new apartment. A modern 3-bedroom unit in a tranquil neighborhood, nothing extravagant, nothing flashy. She had learned that ostentation wasn't her style. She had coffee, looking out the window, planning her day. Meeting at the factory at 9 a.m. Visit to one of the commercial properties at noon. Chat with the accountant at 3 p.m. Her life now had purpose, responsibility, and for the first time, she felt capable of handling it all. MDM. Cleusa Lee had become more than a manager. She was a friend, a mentor. She taught Marina to read balance sheets, negotiate with suppliers, and deal with employees. And Marina learned fast. The contract with the hotel chain had been approved. $250,000 flowed into the factory's coffers. With the money, Marina gave all employees a raise and bought new machinery. "You're doing very well, Mediem," Cleusa said in one of their meetings. "Your aunt would be proud." Marina smiled. She thought of Aunt Helena every day, that solitary woman who had built an empire in silence and left everything to her. One day, a woman appeared at the factory reception. "MDM." Cleusa entered the office. "Someone wants to speak with you." The door opened. It was Fernanda Chua, without makeup, simply dressed. She looked tired. "What do you want?" "I need help. Ricardo won't accept the end and keeps pressuring me. Calls, messages, he shows up at my work. I heard you help women with legal problems. I need a personal protection order." Marina remained silent. The woman who had pitied her at the courts was now asking for help. "Why should I help you?" "Because you know what he's like." Marina thought, picked up a card. "Call this lawyer, no charge. After that, stay out of my life." Fernanda took the card, thanked her, and left. Marina was left alone, feeling neither anger nor satisfaction, only peace. Meanwhile, Ricardo's life continued to crumble. He had been removed from the law firm. His partners discovered he was making serious errors in cases, losing clients, tarnishing the firm's reputation. "Ricardo, you need to take some time off, sort out your personal problems," one of the partners said. "When you're better, we'll talk about your return." But Ricardo knew the truth. He wouldn't be back. He was being gently fired. Without a salary, he started missing bill payments. The house that had stayed with him in the divorce was mortgaged. He had taken out a large loan months before to impress Fernanda with expensive gifts. Now, with no money coming in, the bank was calling. He had 2 months to pay or lose the house. Ricardo tried to sell the car, but the model had depreciated. He managed to get a low amount that barely covered half the debt. One night, he was sitting in the dark living room when his phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello? Ricardo? It's Dr. Paul Go. We worked together on a few cases." "Ah, yes. Hi. Look, I heard you're going through some problems, and I have a proposal." Ricardo brightened. Finally, a chance. "What kind of proposal?" "I have a client who's in a complicated divorce. Her husband is also a lawyer and is trying to leave her with nothing. I thought of you to help with the case." "Of course, I accept." "Great. But there's a detail. The client doesn't have money now. She'll only pay after the divorce is finalized. It's basically a results-based job." Ricardo hesitated. Work without payment guarantee. In another era, he would have refused instantly. But now he had no choice. "All right. I accept." "Perfect. I'll give you her contact." The case was complicated and draining. The woman cried in every meeting. The process dragged on. The husband was aggressive. Ricardo worked long hours but didn't see a cent. 3 months later, they won the case. The woman got half the assets. She paid Ricardo a fair amount, but it barely covered his accumulated debts. He was broke, tired, alone. One afternoon, Ricardo was walking through the city center when he saw something that made him stop. Marina was coming out of a restaurant. She wasn't alone. Beside her, a man in his 50s, well-dressed, conversed and laughed. They seemed close, comfortable. Ricardo felt a pang of jealousy. Was she dating? He watched from a distance. Marina and the man said goodbye with a cordial handshake. She got into a car with a driver and left. Ricardo stood there, watching the car disappear around the corner. He realized at that moment a painful truth. Marina had moved on completely. She no longer thought about him, felt no anger, no resentment. She had simply erased Ricardo from her life. And that hurt more than any confrontation. 2 more months passed. Ricardo lost the house. He had to move to a small, cheap HDB flat in a distant neighborhood. He managed to get some sporadic work as a lawyer, but nothing fixed. He lived on the edge, counting every cent. One night, he was returning home by bus when he saw an illuminated billboard. It was an advertisement for a textile company, Helena Textiles, quality that dresses the future. And there, in smaller letters, Marina Tan, Director. Ricardo got off the bus and stood looking at the billboard. His ex-wife's company was growing so much that it had money for citywide advertising. He felt his legs weaken, sat on the bench at the bus stop, and stayed there for almost an hour, just looking at that image. The life he had thrown away, the woman he had despised, was now up high, illuminated, victorious. And he was down here, alone, broken, forgotten. Ricardo finally understood the truth. He hadn't just lost money, He had lost the only person who truly cared about him, and now it was too late to go back. But Marina's story wasn't over yet. She had one last plan, a plan that would change not only her life, but the lives of many other women. 6 months after the divorce, Marina stood in front of a small commercial building in the city center. It was one of the properties she had inherited from her aunt. For months, it had stood empty, unused. But now, Marina had a plan for it. MDM. Closer Lee stood beside her, looking at the facade. "Are you sure about this? It's going to be a lot of work." Marina smiled. "I'm sure." They entered. The space had 3 rooms, a reception area, 2 bathrooms. It was empty, dusty, but it had potential. "This will be the consultation room," Marina pointed. "That, the meeting room. And that smaller room can be a private waiting area for women." MDM. Closer nodded, understanding. Marina had decided to open a free legal support center for women in abusive divorces. She would use part of the factory's profits to pay lawyers, psychologists, and social workers. "When do you want to inaugurate?" Niem, Closer asked. "In 2 months. I need to renovate, hire people, and organize everything." In the following weeks, Marina worked hard. She hired Dr. Hator Singh to coordinate the legal team. She hired a psychologist specializing in domestic violence. She assembled a small reception team. The space was renovated. Walls painted in light colors, comfortable furniture, a small area with coffee and water, everything designed to make women feel welcomed, not judged. On the inauguration day, Marina was nervous. She didn't throw a party, didn't invite the press, just placed a small advertisement in the local newspaper and in some neighborhood groups. Helena Tan Support Center. Free legal aid for women in divorce proceedings. Without judgment, with respect. On the first day, 3 women appeared. One was young, pregnant, visibly distraught. Another was older, her hands trembling, her voice low. The third was a lady in her 60s set who cried upon sitting down. Marina attended to each with patience. She listened to stories of control, violence, fear, stories that seemed very similar to hers, and she helped. She connected each one with a lawyer, offered psychological support, gave practical guidance on how to protect themselves, how to gather evidence, how to start over. When the last woman left, Marina stood alone in the room, looked around, and felt something she had never felt before. True purpose. She wasn't just living anymore. She was making a difference. Meanwhile, Ricardo continued his descent. He had lost his house, his car, his reputation. He lived in a minuscule apartment, took the bus, ate in cheap hawker centers. He managed to get a fixed job at a small neighborhood law firm. The salary was less than a third of what he earned before, but it was what he had. One afternoon, he was returning from work when he saw a flyer pasted on a lamppost. Helena Tan Support Center. Below it, a small photo of Marina. Ricardo stopped and read the entire flyer. A space to help women in difficult divorces, free, coordinated by his ex-wife. He felt a pang in his chest. Marina hadn't used her fortune to travel the world or buy mansions. She had used it to help other people, to do what she wished someone had done for her. Ricardo tore the flyer from the lamppost, crumpled it, and threw it in the trash. But the image of Marina smiling in that photo wouldn't leave his mind. That night, he spent hours alone in the apartment trying to silence his own thoughts. He looked at his phone, thinking of sending her a message, apologizing, saying he was sorry, but he knew it was useless. Marina had moved on, and he was trapped in the past, bitter about his choices. A year after the divorce, Marina was in a meeting with the support center team. They had served over 100 women, helped dozens achieve fair divorces, protection orders, new beginnings. "Donations are increasing," Dr. Hator Singh said. "People want to support the project. We can expand." Marina smiled. "Let's take it slowly. I don't want to grow too fast and lose quality." After the meeting, she went to the factory. Production was booming. New contracts, new employees. MDM. Klaus Lee had just received a raise and a share of the profits. "You've transformed this place," MDM, Klaus said. "Your aunt would be very proud." Marina looked around the factory. The employees working, the machines humming, everything organized and prosperous. She thought of Aunt Helena, that solitary woman who had built all this in silence. "I hope so," Marina said softly. At the end of the afternoon, Marina returned home, opened the fridge, and saw that it was full. Real food, things she liked. Not leftovers, not frozen meals. She prepared a simple dinner, sat at the table, and ate slowly, savoring it. Then she picked up an old notebook, the same one where she had written that list months ago. Things to do. 1. Wait for the probate to finalize. 2. Visit aunt's factory. 3. Learn to manage everything. 4. Live. Marina looked at the last word. Live. She had succeeded. She was finally living. But not only that, she was helping other women live too. Her phone rang. It was a call from an unknown number. Hello? Marina? My name is Beatrice. A friend gave me the number for the Helena Tan Support Center. I need help. The voice on the other end was trembling, scared. Marina knew that tone well. You can speak. Beatrice, I'm listening. The woman began to tell her story. A controlling husband, an unfair divorce, fear of being left with nothing. Marina listened patiently, and when the woman finished, she said in a calm, firm voice, You are not alone, Beatrice. We will help you. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Can you come to the office? I can. Then come. And bring all the documents you have. We'll solve this together. Marina hung up and looked out the window. Outside, the city was illuminated, full of life, movement, possibilities. She thought of Ricardo. Was he doing well? Had he learned anything? But she quickly dismissed those thoughts. Ricardo was no longer her problem. He had made his choices. Now he lived with the consequences. Marina had made her choices too, and she had chosen to be free, to be strong, to be generous. She had chosen to truly live and would never again ask anyone for permission. She thought she was losing everything, but losing was just the beginning of finding herself. Marina moved forward without resentment, without revenge, without making noise. She carried only what truly mattered, the courage to choose her own path. And when someone learns that, they never again accept living someone else's life.